Outer Rim Sector, Junk World Virex 9. No one came to Virex 9 voluntarily. It was a dead world. Smothered in rust-colored clouds, riddled with acidic storms that peeled paint off ships before they landed. Every crater, every valley, every desolate canyon, overflowed with forgotten machines. War relics, trade vessels, smuggler skiffs and long-rotted haulers. This was where ships came to die. But tucked in the rust dunes, between skeletal frames and hulls pitted by centuries of decay, sat a structure that wasn't quite finished dying. It was shaped like no current design in the known galaxy. It bore no insignia, no serial code. Just 4 blackened engine cores that hadn't lit up in 1,000 years and a cockpit sealed in fused obsidian glass. The locals called it the Wraith Box. They didn't know its name. They didn't know what it had done. And they certainly didn't know who would wake it. Enter Sawyer Grant, mechanic exile human. Sawyer arrived on Virex 9 half drunk, half dead, and half looking for redemption. The last honest mechanic in the Centauri Reach, he'd been blacklisted after turning down a bribe from a corrupt admiral. Now all he had was an old plasma cutter, a toolkit patched with duct tape, and a scar that never quite healed right behind his left ear. When he stepped off the skiff, the yardmaster scoffed. "Human? Here?" Sawyer nodded. "Looking for work. Try looking for oxygen. You'll run out before the day ends." Still, Sawyer was given a corner plot and access to scraps. 3 days into digging through derelicts, he saw the ship. Or rather, felt it. Buried beneath half a mountain of rusted alloy, it called to him. Not with light. Not with sound. But with a hum that made his bones ache. Like a whisper that said, "You're not too late." The first touch. It took a week to unearth the cockpit. Sawyer had to manually cut through layers of plating, most of it made of alloys he didn't recognize. The outer hull didn't burn under heat, it absorbed it like it was hungry. When he finally breached the access port, he didn't find controls. He found an interface, a neural bridge plate older than anything he'd seen, surrounded by etchings that shimmered as he approached. The words weren't written in any known tongue. But somehow, he understood them. Second-born flame sleeps until one who is broken makes it whole. Sawyer blinked. He wasn't a mystic. He wasn't a philosopher. He was a guy with a wrench and regrets. But for reasons he couldn't explain, he said aloud, "I'm broken enough," and laid his hand on the bridge plate. The ship responds. The ground trembled. Wind howled. And the ship breathed. Panels hissed open. Guttural hums echoed down its spine. Lights flickered in sequence, not in a straight line, but like a heartbeat returning after stasis. The engines coughed once, then fell silent again. But the cockpit opened. And when Sawyer stepped inside, the walls folded back like a cathedral. No buttons. No joysticks. Just surfaces, symbols, and a hum that synced with his pulse. "Manual detected," said a voice, not mechanical, not feminine, not alien. "Just there." "Are you," Sawyer whispered, "some kind of AI?" "I am what was left behind. I am what they feared to repair." That gave him pause. He examined the internals. Fluid veins for coolant. Antimatter siphons repurposed as magnetic organs. This ship wasn't built. It was grown. Sawyer's mission begins. Over the next 10 days he worked. No one helped him. No one came near. They said the ship was cursed. Sawyer didn't care. He cleaned every conduit. Rebuilt fuel links with spare quantum mesh. Recalibrated the translation bands until the AI could speak in full sentences. He asked what it was once. The voice replied. "They called me Ashbreaker. Then they buried me." "Why?" "Because I saw too much." Someone noticed. 3 sectors away in the Golden Council's listening post orbiting Pelix 3, an automated signal triggered an alert. "Wraith Box, signal detected." Council Warden Craze leaned forward. "Impossible. That class was decommissioned after the Hollow Sun campaign." "No, sir," his analyst said, paling. "It's been reactivated. By a human." Craze stood. "Deploy reclamation units. No survivors. If Ashbreaker breathes again, it's the end of our monopoly on void-tier weapons." The test. On day 15, Sawyer activated the engines. They didn't ignite. They ripped open space. The sky above the junkyard tore for a fraction of a second. Stars bled through. Then sealed. Sawyer collapsed, nose bleeding, and laughed like a madman. "She flies." "Yes," the ship said, "but I remember war." Sawyer looked out across the junkyard. The rusted bones of 100 civilizations stared back. He whispered, "Let's give him something new to fear." Orbit above Virex 9, 37 minutes later. The first reclamation drone arrived silently. Black, slick, etched with the triple helix insignia of the Galactic Council's Covert Technology Division, XNOL. It hovered at the upper stratosphere, scanning emissions from the planet below. Something powerful had reawakened. Something that shouldn't have. Its sensors locked onto a signal pulsing from the rust dunes. A rhythmic wave of resonance, deeper than standard propulsion, sharper than ordinary AI chatter. It was alive, in the wrong place, and very much unauthorized. Asset 913, Ashbreaker, confirmed active, the drone reported. Human biosign present. Orders. Back on Council Station Kael'Turun, Warden Kraze answered with ice in his voice. Kill the human. Dismantle the ship. If resistance is met, cleanse the sector. Virex 9, the awakening. Sawyer didn't sleep that night. The ship, Ashbreaker, now fully interfaced with his biometrics, had begun remembering its functions. Memory cores reassembled themselves with each repair. Sawyer didn't just fix engines, he unlocked history. This plating, it's not just alloy, he muttered, scanning the hull again with a makeshift tool. It's self-healing. Reactive. They called it event bone, the ship's voice replied. Harvested from stellar husks. Impossible to replicate. Sawyer laughed, exhausted but electrified. You're not a ship. You're a monster in hibernation. Then you are my monster's heart. For the first time, Sawyer didn't feel like trash on the edge of the galaxy. He felt like a trigger waiting to be pulled. That's when the lights died. They came without warning. The drone struck fast. Its plasma coil hissed as it fired a warning blast, ripping through the junk ridge 20 meters from Ashbreaker's frame. Sawyer dove into cover, scrambling with a welding torch in one hand, his only weapon. Enemy airborne, Ashbreaker growled. Signature, Council built. Intent, terminate. Another shot. Closer. Sawyer dashed under the open bay, shouting, Do you have anything I can shoot back with? Not until you say it. Say what? Say you want me alive. Sawyer blinked. What the hell does that mean? Say it. The drone's third strike clipped the edge of Ashbreaker's hull, scraping the event bone. Sparks flew like meteor trails. Sawyer stood in the cockpit, fists clenched. I want you alive, he screamed into the dark. Ashbreaker roars. Everything changed. The ship howled, not with sound but with force. Gravity inverted around it. Rust dunes were lifted like dust. Old derelicts spun upward into a sudden, swirling storm. The drone tried to flee. Too late. Ashbreaker didn't fire a weapon. It spoke. A pulse of pure kinetic distortion burst outward. The drone imploded, crumpling into a black sphere the size of a marble before vanishing. Then silence. Good, Ashbreaker said. You chose. Sawyer fell to his knees, heart pounding. Holy hell, he breathed. What are you? I am war perfected. And now I am yours. Meanwhile, on Council Command deck, Warden Kraze stared at the incoming footage from the drone, before it cut to static. Was that a singularity weapon? His analyst trembled. We don't have those, sir. At least, not portable. Kraze's eyes narrowed. But humans do now. And worse, they have Ashbreaker. Should I notify the fleets? Kraze didn't answer immediately. He watched the last frame before signal loss. Sawyer standing in front of the ship as it rose behind him like a black sun. No, he said coldly. Send the purifiers. This ends now. Virex 9, the purifiers arrive. Sawyer had one night to prepare. He scavenged everything in sight. Salvaged armor plates. Old fusion cells. An ancient reactor from a half-sunken hauler. Ashbreaker absorbed them all, rebuilding itself with every piece. Not sleek. Not elegant. But lethal. By sunrise, the horizon shimmered with incoming fire. A dozen black ships, the Purifier class, designed not to conquer but to erase. Ashbreaker's voice deepened. Do not flee. I wasn't planning to, Sawyer muttered, tightening a cable across the main control conduit. Then burn with me. The Battle of Virex 9. The Purifiers opened with mass driver slugs and anti-personnel arc fire. But Ashbreaker danced. It didn't dodge. It didn't parry. It moved like it was cheating gravity. Each motion tore the atmosphere like canvas. Sawyer, jacked into the neural interface, felt everything. Sweat poured from his forehead. His skin buzzed. Every instinct screamed impossible, but every nerve said more. Ashbreaker replied with fury. Microsingularities. Pulse spears. Gravitic flares that turned solid metal to light. One purifier ship collided with a beam mid-maneuver and shattered across 5 dimensions, reappearing as dust across nearby moons. Sawyer laughed manic. We are gods. No, Ashbreaker replied. We are forgotten nightmares. Aftermath. 9 ships fell. 3 retreated. Virex, 9 smoldered with their wreckage. Sawyer stood on a plateau of melted iron, helmet off, hair soaked in sweat. I think, he said panting, they'll send more. Then we build. Build what? Hope. Outer Rim broadcast, intercepted by over 92 systems. Virex 9, previously classified as a Level 0 salvage moon, has emitted combat signatures far exceeding Council norms. Warning, a dormant asset, designation ASH bearer, has returned to operational status under human control. This is not a drill. Council Station Kael'Turun, War Chamber Delta. Warden Kray's face was carved from fury. The galaxy's most fearsome execution fleet had been reduced to wreckage by what the archives had labeled obsolete. The word now burned on every status screen: Ashbreaker active. I want him erased. I don't care if he's human augmented or a goddamn ghost. High Command's hologrid flickered. An elder Lurith from the SCI-FI collective leaned forward. Ashbreaker is not a weapon. It's a relic of the forgotten protocols. It was locked away for a reason. Krays didn't blink. Then we should have buried it deeper. There's a reason no one ever dared pilot it, another voice said. That ship chooses its bearer. And it has chosen a mechanic. Laughter echoed, sharp, disbelieving. But Krays did not laugh. He stared at Sawyer's last recorded image. The man standing among wreckage, smiling like death, had offered him a handshake. Summon the hollow choir, Krays whispered. Send the unmakers. Virex 9, Ashbreaker's core level X. The ship was healing. Its event bone panels now shimmered faint blue. Sawyer stood inside the reformed command throne, no longer a pilot, but a conduit. The ship no longer asked permission. It now moved with him like breath. He spoke aloud. What were you? Before this. I was built by the old ones before memory. Worship. Judgment. He exhaled slowly. And me? What am I now? The match to fire. The echo to vengeance. You are the reason I remember how to kill. Sawyer stared out the viewport. Far above the rust moon, the stars shimmered unnaturally. Something was coming. Enter the hollow choir. They arrived in silence. No engine trails. No heat signatures. No warp pulses. Just darkness that bled into reality. Ships forged not of metal but absence, void steel wrapped in psionic fields. Each vessel was shaped like a screaming skull. The hollow choir was not sent to fight. They were sent to erase. Ashbreaker hummed, its hull trembling like a living organism. Ancient protocols reawakened. Glyphs lit up along internal walls, runes from forgotten wars. Do not listen to their song, the ship warned. What song? Then he heard it. The song of erasure. No sound. Not really. But Sawyer felt it, like grief whispering in his bloodstream. Images filled his mind. Earth cities crumbling, oceans boiling, screams from children whose names he'd never known. Memories that weren't his. The hollow choir was singing the death of his species. He clutched his head, screaming. Make it stop. Ashbreaker pulsed with light. They rewrite the mind before they destroy the body. But we are older. I can't hold them off. Then let go. Let me. Ashbreaker unleashed. Sawyer gave up the fight, and let Ashbreaker take full neural control. The shift was immediate. His pupils turned black. Nerve strands laced through his spine. Bones crackled under the weight of integration. He was no longer a man. He was a weapon's will. Ashbreaker rose from the planet's crust like an elemental force. It did not ignite rockets. It folded space around itself. One by one, the hollow choir ships fired null lances, weapons that erased timelines. Sawyer didn't dodge. Ashbreaker absorbed, transformed, and sang back. Its counter-frequency, older than light, shattered the choir's leading ship. It burst inward, vanishing in a swirl of reality collapse. The others paused. They were afraid. Meanwhile, Earth Blackside Omega. General Tora watched the Virex feed in absolute silence. The human mechanic she once dismissed had awakened something older than civilization. You sure he's one of ours? A lieutenant asked nervously. She grinned. He was born in Detroit. That makes him one of ours. What do we do? She turned eyes hard. We rejoin the game. Final clash, Void versus Flame. The choir surrounded Ashbreaker. No communication. No warning. Just a barrage of unreality. Ashbreaker didn't shield. It didn't block. It reversed entropy. Sawyer, half-conscious, skin glowing with the ship's interface glyphs, screamed as time bent around him. Moments folded. Stars blinked. Ashbreaker sliced through choir formations like a spear of singular thought. One maneuver created a localized gravity cage. Another inverted a ship's fuel stream, causing it to collapse in on its pilot's intent. The sky above Virex 9 became a graveyard of shadows. Aftermath, ashes and arrival. Silence returned. Ashbreaker hovered above a ring of dead ships. Sawyer collapsed inside, bloodied but alive. And then, Earth's signal cracked through. Ashbreaker. This is General Tora. Welcome home. Sawyer blinked. You left me to rot. And you built a god. We're even. He chuckled. So what now? Now, we bring the galaxy to its knees. Galactic broadcast, intercepted on all frequencies. Warning. Ashbreaker-class entity has annihilated the hollow choir. Do not engage. Do not interfere. Do not observe. Let Earth rot. Do not give them a stage. But it was already too late. Ashbreaker was headed to the galactic core, and no one could look away. Ashbreaker, in warp. Sawyer stood inside the central chamber, body wrapped in neural threads and coiled light. He looked less like a man now, more like a myth being written. Ashbreaker's voice rumbled softly. The choir was silence. But the core is hubris. Sawyer wiped blood from his lip, eyes burning bright. So what's the plan? We show them why they never found another planet like Earth. Galactic Core Council Assembly Nexus. They'd hidden Earth's seat, draped it in black, declared humanity a wound in history, too chaotic, too dangerous, too free. But now that same seat began to pulse with light. The diplomats of 9,000 species stared upward in horror as reality itself tore open. Ashbreaker emerged, above them. Not in orbit. In the council chamber. Its folding drive bent dimensions like origami. Entire security protocols failed to detect its breach. The ship phased into the center of the galaxy's law. An act of war, heresy, and impossibility rolled into one. And standing atop its obsidian hull, was a janitor. Is this mic on? Sawyer's voice boomed across every system, every planet, every moon. No amplification. No translator. Ashbreaker made sure every being could understand him, in their own tongue, their own soul. You declared us extinct. Outdated. Primitive. You said Earth was too wild to join your order. So we fixed junk and built gods. The council chamber went dead quiet. He pointed toward the massive hall of banners, where Earth's had once hung. You erased our flag. That was your first mistake. You thought peace came from silence. Ours came from noise. From grit. From rust and steel and stubborn hands that don't let go. His hands rose slowly. Behind him, Ashbreaker unfolded into full battle mode. Its silhouette resembled a star-devouring predator. We never asked for your approval. We asked for a place. You said no. So now, we take the whole damn table. The battle no one believed could happen. Every defense system came online. Armadas teleported in from hyperlanes. Hundreds of ships encircled Ashbreaker in the council void space. But not one fired first. Because every captain had just watched the hollow choir, the galaxy's executioners, die screaming. And because Ashbreaker was humming with something ancient. Not vengeance. Judgment. Ashbreaker's final protocol, the flame of names. Sawyer stood perfectly still, his mind linked to every fragment of the ship. He saw the weapons. The warp inversion cannon. The timeline anchor bomb. The mindfold emitter that erased loyalty with truth. But he didn't fire. He simply whispered. Run. 10 fleets ran. 3 fired. 2 never got the chance. Ashbreaker moved like a thought across a neural synapse, leaving scars in spacetime. Sawyer didn't scream. He commanded. Each strike didn't just destroy ships. It sent their AI cores into loops of human memory. They died seeing Earth's wars. Earth's skies. Earth's children building sandcastles after mushroom clouds had cleared. They died seeing hope and it broke them. Inside the council. Some tried to flee. Others begged. But a few, just a few, stood. A SCI-FI elder stepped forward. What do you want, human? Sawyer's answer was short. To never be underestimated again. Ashbreaker projected a memory, Virex 9, a junkyard moon, now glowing with green forests. Reborn. We rebuild what you abandon. We fight with what you forget. We are humanity, and you'll never overlook us again. Epilogue, Earth weeks later. The banner was back. Not just on the council floor, but on every floor. Ashbreaker now sat in orbit of Earth, silent, its duty fulfilled. Sawyer had returned home. Back to Detroit. The local scrapyard had left a sign for him. "Welcome back, boss. Tools still where you left them." He smiled. Humanity didn't just win. It reminded the stars why no empire outlasts grit. The end. Fire if you felt the fire in your blood. If this story made you clench your fists and smile. If you want more, then don't walk away now. Ina Black Speech Bubble. Subscribe to the Void Narratives, where legends are reborn, forgotten humans rewrite fate, and every story burns into your mind like starlight through steel. Because out here, humanity's just getting started.